And First Alert meteorologist Emily Merz joining us once again. And Emily, I feel like the story for this weekend, especially Sunday, was just that rain, the nice little rumblies of thunderies. And I felt it was just a very kind of like, oh, is it? You can tell that the seasons are changing, and I really like it.
Yeah, and it really is kind of that lead into severe weather season. There are a couple of warnings around the area, not necessarily here, but further towards our south, further towards our west. And we're actually kicking off Severe Weather Awareness Week this week in Minnesota. We do have a statewide tornado drill later in the week, so kind of throughout the week you can expect all of the weather team to really be kind of diving into that each day. But for today, the main focus is really going to be on that eclipse, I guess lack thereof here in southern Minnesota.
We'll be able to see, like, we can see the outline of the sun normally, but are we still going to be able to see, like, the sun partially gone?
That's kind of what we're hoping for, but it's really going to depend on that cloud cover. I'll go more into that in a second. Here's what we're looking at as far as visibility this morning. We can see a lot of us with normal visibility, however, still a couple of areas kind of seeing that misty, foggy conditions out there. So definitely worth leaving maybe a few extra minutes to get to where you need to go, just in case you do encounter some of that more dense fog or that more dense mist, even from all of that moisture. We'll be kind of dealing with that for the next couple of mornings. So if you see a lot of fog today, likely you'll probably see it again over the next couple of days. Temperatures around the area hanging out in the 40s. We see temperatures kind of consistent throughout yesterday, overnight, and into today. We'll warm up into the 50s later on, but not going to be really a dramatic shift in temperature today. A lot of that thanks to the fact that we have some pretty thick cloud coverage. Wyndham, Slayton, both in the 30s. They're a little bit cooler out there just due to a little bit more clear air compared to the rest of us that are not seeing those clear conditions. Zooming in a little closer on that satellite and radar, we can see kind of the heaviest of that rain has already made its way through. We had some thunderstorms. I did mention there were actually a couple of tornado warnings for some smaller, weak kind of funnel cloud type of situation, but we're not going to really have to worry about that here in southern Minnesota. That being said, though, a few more rumbles of thunder can't be fully ruled out as we go through the next couple of days, but that's not going to really be the main focus. So, of course, here is the solar eclipse that we're looking at. There's that path of totality. We are not in that. However, we are going to be kind of sitting right in between that 80% to 60% range. So what that means is it's basically, that's going to be how much of that sun is able to be covered by that moon's shadow. So we'll not necessarily be seeing the very dark conditions that will happen along that path of totality. But if you get a chance to look at the sun safely, you will be able to see it's kind of cut off. It'll look a little bit weird. And even if we aren't able to see the actual eclipse through the clouds, you might notice that around the time when we see this, you might see that it gets a little bit darker outside. A lot of times birds and bugs start kind of acting a little bit weirder, considering because they kind of get confused, but I totally understand that. Here's what we're looking at as far as timing for this eclipse today. Essentially, we'll be able to see that sun start to be impacted around 12:47, so right after around lunchtime. Peak at 2 o'clock this afternoon. That's going to be kind of the point where we see the most of that sun covered, and then we'll be clear by around 3:13. So the main thing that we're going to have to really focus on today, though, is going to be this cloud coverage. As you can see, this is around noon. But it looks like we could see a little bit of a break in the clouds, especially as we get into around 1 o'clock. So that's something definitely worth looking for if you are really wanting to go see this eclipse. Might be worth traveling a little bit further towards the southeast. A lot of Iowa seeing some clearer conditions than what we're going to be seeing. Here's what we're looking at around the time that eclipse is at its peak. Again, it's hard to really nail down exactly where we're going to see those gaps in the clouds, but it's not hopeless. It looks like we have a chance to see some gaps in the clouds, so definitely worth keeping note of that, and just keep an eye on the sky if you're wanting to go see that eclipse today. We'll continue to see showers lingering around into Wednesday, maybe even again on Thursday. We'll see another chance of showers Friday. We finally warm back up, plenty of sunshine to go along with it. And then heading into that weekend, temperatures in the 70s, 75 on Sunday. That is going to be very welcome by many. That's all for weather. We'll be right back.